To Monday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where we've got a new puzzle for you by the great James Sinclair to have a look at. Quadrilateral is what it's called, and it's come heavily recommended actually, and I had a quick look at it on Logic Masters Germany before I turned on the webcam, and there was one comment that really stood out. This second comment here: brilliant puzzle. I rated this 4-star difficulty because although I only spent 17 minutes on it, or something to those effects, if you can't spot the trick, you'll be stuck forever. So, yeah, there's obviously some sort of clever idea we're going to have. There's just some beautiful comments on there as well, in order to solve this one, which does feature the dreaded nabner lines. These things in the corners here are nabner lines, i.e. non-consecutive lines where if you put a digit, say you put a 3 here, then you couldn't put 2 or 4 anywhere on the line. I find nabner lines extremely counterintuitive, but I'm going to have a go at this in a moment or two's time. A few things to mention first. I was very sad to read about the death today of Bernard Hill, one of the great actors of our times, in my opinion. Some of you may remember him in The Boys from the Black Stuff as Yosser Hughes, and more recently, in my opinion, he had all the best lines. Well, not all the best lines, but I am a huge fan of the Lord of the Rings films, and as King Theoden, the King of Rohan, and I mean, the lines that he gets to speak in those films, I think, are just sensationally good. So yeah, if I get time, I will try and record that wonderful music as an intro for today. And if you get time and you haven't watched it recently, watch the Ride of the Rohirrim in the battle before the city of Gondor, the charge. I mean, the scene leading up to the charge, it will bring tears to your eyes, in my opinion. R.I.P. Bernard Hill. On other puzzling matters, some of you have asked if I can have a go at a new puzzle that Numberphile tweeted about, which is from our friends over at Jane Street. It's called Byte. I've got it here. This thing. I will try and have a go at that later on today, perhaps. And if I can solve it, we'll stick it. It's not a sudoku. I'm not even sure what it is. And I will say, I approach some of the puzzles on Jane Street's website with trepidation because some of them are incredibly mathematical. They're monthly puzzles. Some of them are beautiful, like puzzly puzzles. Some of them, they start off with things like, imagine the unit circle, and then, things go off in different directions with, parabolic equations and stuff. Now, if it's extremely mathematical, it might not be something I can tackle. But if I can get through it, I'll put the video on Patreon. Well, probably today, I suppose, but it depends how long it takes me and whether I can do it at all. But I'll have a look at it for you later on. Now, other news, birthdays. I've got a few announcements here today. We'll start off with Leah and Michael, who rather meanly, to be honest, messaged about the chocolate cake they'd experienced from Sam's Club wholesale store in Missouri. Now, check this out. Now, have I got it down here? Let me find it. Here, this one. This is 2.5 kilograms of chocolate cake. And it has, I believe, 6 layers, 3 of which are icing. Now, the icing ratio, I mean, it could be higher, to be honest, but that still looks a pretty chocolatey cake to me, and a rather good one. So, Leah and Michael, thank you very much for that. I'm not even sure if there was an occasion to mark the chocolate. I think it was a friend of yours. But anyway, it looks like you had a good time. Next, a shout out to Daniel's nan. Daniel's nan, Mary, who is 95 years old and still has a razor-sharp mind. And Daniel sent us a really emotional email, actually. And yeah, thank you for that. I mean, it's it was one of those emails where it's a bit humbling for us to hear that we make a difference to people's lives out there. But Daniel, thank you for writing. Mary, our very best wishes to you, and also our best to little Juliet, who I believe turns 3 in a couple of weeks' time. Next, a birthday today to my friend Steve, who has turned 53, and I know Steve from way back when on the old listener crossword circuit. Steve was at the Crucible Theatre last night. Some of you will be jealous to hear that, watching the World Snooker Championship. I don't know if you're there today again, Steve, but anyway, many happy returns. Next, Kathy from your friend Elaine. Now, Kathy and Elaine have known each other since high school over there in Canada. They've both been living in the UK recently. I think Elaine's been in Orkney and Kathy's been in Oxford, if I'm not mistaken. And I think the two of you are headed across the pond, or have already headed across the pond, either recently or soon to come. But anyway, Kathy, many happy returns. I know you're a very, very good solver of Sudoku, so I hope, well, whether or not you were a good solver, I hope you have a brilliant birthday today, with chocolate cake, of course. Now, Jaina. Now, last year I had the privilege of announcing the birth of little Jaina, and Jaina has turned 1 today, I think, and I know this because your dad Tolga wrote to us, and I think your mum's Rebecca, and Tolga described you, Jaina, as smart, inquisitive, and a confident little human. And let me tell you, you are very cute as well. Let me just share. Oh, where's my picture? I had a picture. Hang on, I must find the picture. There we go. I couldn't not show you that picture. As I say, an absolute cutie. So Jaina, many happy returns. How wonderful it is to see you growing up. Next. Now, Matilda wrote in. Matilda's only 10 years old, and she wrote in to say, could we say happy birthday to her mum, who turns 43 today. And Matilda also told us that her grandpa is making a baked chocolate cheesecake today for her mum's birthday. But I don't know your name, Matilda's mum. So I can only wish you many happy returns. And I hope, well, I know that you're getting some sort of amazing chocolate creation. So happy birthday. Next, Inga, it's your birthday. And I know this because Casper wrote in and told us that. And it said he was very pleased he had got you into variant Sudoku. And then finally, Maria over there in Sweden. Maria wrote us a rather good riddle, actually, to reveal her age. And it was something like, what was it? Let me try and work out what. No, I'm going to forget it. But I think you might be 62. I don't want to mess it up, and I know you're having mud cake with chocolate topping. So if I remember the riddle, I'll put it in the video description, Maria. Anyway, there we go. That's all the announcements, I think. Let me put those to one side, and we can have a look at James's puzzle. I'll read you the rules. And here we go. We've got normal Sudoku, rules apply. All clues are standard. Oh, okay, but then they are defined. So thermometers. Digits on thermometers increase from the bulb end. So if this square was a 3, then this square couldn't be a 3 in the corner, and that would be sad. But anyway, it would just have to be bigger than 3, so it could be 6, and then this could be 9. 3, 6, 9. They don't have to be an arithmetic sequence. You just have to make sure that as you go, as mercury would rise, as the temperature rises, so must our digits rise as we move along a thermometer. Purple lines contain a non-repeating set of consecutive digits in any order. So if this square was a 1, these squares would have to be 2 and 3 in some order, so that the line overall contained a 1, 2, 3 sequence, and the digits were consecutive on it. If it has a 5 on it, then it's more difficult, isn't it? Because this could be 5, 6, 7, it could be 4, 5, 6, or it could be 3, 4, 5, but it has to be one of those things. Nabner lines, gold lines. Gold lines contain a non-repeating set of digits, and no 2 digits on the line can be consecutive, regardless of their position on the line. So if that's a 3, you can't put 2 or 4 anywhere on the line. Very confusing rule. Entropic lines along orange lines, which I think must be this one. I mean, I have to confess, my colour blindness does upset me rather, because I'm not even sure I would describe that as orange. It doesn't really look orange to me, but I think it must be these. Along orange lines, every set of 3 adjacent cells must contain one low digit, a 1, 2 or a 3, one middle digit, a 4, 5 or a 6, and one high digit, a 7, 8 or 9. So let's look at this line. So I mean, some people get upset when they feel that I do solving in when I do the rules, but sometimes it's quite hard to explain the rules without almost doing some solving. But so if we look at those 3 digits here, one of these digits is a 1, 2 or a 3, one of them is a 4, 5, 6, and one of them is a 7, 8, 9. That is true. Actually, I won't go further than that. I could say some things about what that means, but that might constitute solving and upset folks, so I won't. Digits in cells separated by an X sum to 10. So we've got a couple of those down there. So if this square's a 2, that has to be an 8, for example. Digits in cells with a shaded square must be even. Now there is scrolling in the rules, but that is the end of the rules. So can we double click? Yeah. Okay. So if I double click a square like that with a constraint, it lights them all up. Very clever software that Sven has developed that we use. So you can see that those 5 digits there, those 5 cells, must all be even numbers, and that is all of the rules. Don't know why it's called quadrilateral. Although a quadrilateral is any 4-sided shape, isn't it? So maybe it could have been called quadrilaterals. I don't know. Anyway, do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. But now I get to play. Let's get cracking. I'm going to return straight away to my entropic line, because the corollary, let's think about this sequence here and this digit. So whatever this digit is, it's going to be a 1, 2, 3, a 4, 5, 6, or a 7, 8, 9. Now, in this sequence of 3 cells, this is the only appearance that this entropy can have. But then consider that sequence. This green entropy has to appear in one of those squares, doesn't it? And it can't appear in these 2, because if it appeared in these 2, there would be 2 instances of it in those 3 squares, which can't be right, because we know these 2 must be the other entropies that are not this one. So in other words, that is also the green entropy. And so one feature of these entropic lines is that you can count every 3 cells along the line. You must have a repetition of the entropy, not the digit necessarily. It could be the digit, but if this square here was a 1, this doesn't have to be a 1, but it would have to be a 2 or a 3. If this square is a 4, this would have to be a 4, 5 or a 6. So that one will make blue. So blue is there and blue is there. Okay, so green is the only digit that actually appears 4 times on the line, I've just noticed. Those digits. Now what colour? Red? It's a bit difficult actually, because we've used so many colours already with the sort of clues. Right, so what does that mean? Well, I don't know is the answer, but one thing I am noticing is that there are not 4 different green entropic digits. So imagine green was 1, 2 and 3, just for the sake of exposition. If green is 1, 2 and 3, then there must be a repeat in these 4 green squares, mustn't there? There must be at least 1 repetition. And that means that at least one of the digits repeats, because whichever, let's say 1 was the repeated digit in the green entropy, then 1 couldn't go in those 2 squares, could it? Because they were in the same row. It couldn't go in these 2 squares. They're in the same column. So 1 would be in one of those 2, and 1 would be in one of these 2, which means 1 in the middle box, because 1 cannot be in the blue or the red entropy if it's in the green entropy, it would have to be in one of those squares. And if there were 2 repeated, so say 1 and 2 were repeated in green, then these would have to be a 1-2 pair. Now, yeah, I don't know. That's tricky. There is definitely a green digit in at least one of those 2 squares. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what to do with that. Let's think about a 4-cell nabner then. What can we say about a 4-cell nabner? I think it's almost in. it achieves the dubious distinction of being almost interesting. A 4-cell nabner line. I mean, if it's a 5-cell nabner line, it's really interesting because it could only be 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 then. That's the only way of constituting a 5-cell nabner. But a 4-cell nabner, I think we've looked at these before on the channel, and I think that they're quite hard to do anything with, in the sense that if we consider, you see, you could have a 1 and a 3 on the line. You must have 1 of 1, 2 and 3, because if you try with 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9, you can't separate the digits enough. You could go 4, 6, 8, for example, but then you couldn't fit the final digit in. So this is why this gets difficult, because that means that on a 4-cell nabner line, you must have one or more of the digits 1, 2 or 3. 1 or more of the digits 7, 8 or 9. But do you see what I mean? You could have 1 and 3 still, or you could have 7 and 9 still. I don't think you can really do much with them, even though they feel like they should be constrained. The other thought I had when I first saw this puzzle is Fistemafel, not the classic Fistemafel, but I mean whenever you see the 2x2s in the corners, or regular 2x2s appearing in a sudoku, you should always be thinking about the geometry. So there's some version of the Fistemafel ring where the ring gets pushed outwards. I can never quite remember what it is, but it's something like this. It's something like those 16 cells. It does involve these renban pieces as well, but I can't. Is it the corners? It might be the corners. I'm not actually sure. It's something like. Oh, hang on. I've just made a complete shank of that. Let's make these. Sorry. If it's this, I need to highlight it in a different color to make any sort of useful comment. I use purple actually, because those are purple. So if this is the right set, there are 16 of both colors there, so it probably is this. Then the yellow cells contain the identical digits to the purple cells. Let me just try and remember this. There is a. Is the proof of the expanded one with the? Is it just the perimeter? Let me just have a quick look at that. I just don't want to mislead you if this is not the exact thing. The perimeter would count these squares twice, wouldn't it? And then, yeah, and then no. Yeah, that is it. It is that. Right, okay, so I'm happy. I'm happy. I can prove it. I can now prove it if we need to. But I'm not going to prove it unless I can see something that's interesting. It is this relationship, though. So I can tell you, without fear of contradiction, that if you look at any Sudoku puzzle, you will find that the purple squares are the exact same digits as the yellow. The contents of the purple squares in total, there are 16 purple cells, will be exactly the same contents as the total contents of the yellow squares. Now that is... Oh no, I was going to say that's almost interesting, but it's no, it's almost too complicated to think about. I mean, that is actually weird on the face of it, isn't it? Because you've got 4 groups of non-consecutive sequences, if you like, that are the equivalent of mostly consecutive sequences, plus these things in the corners. But there's no real restriction on what the yellow squares can be. So you could absolutely, if you had something there and then something there that was just not the same thing. So if you had 1, 3, 5, 7, if you had 1, 3, 5, 7 on one square and 2, 4, 6, 8 on another square, you could create 2 very nice sequences. You could have a 1, 2, 3 sequence and a 4, 5, 6 sequence. From those two nabner sequences. So the fact that the nabners are individually non-consecutive actually puts less pressure than you might think on them achieving purplification. So I'm not very interested in that, I'm afraid. Sorry. Let's think about okay. What was the comment from that solver? Something like, it only took me 17 minutes, but if you don't spot a trick, you'll never finish it. Well, that is a worry. Sorry, I have got nothing here. No. I have a feeling it might be this. It is quite... No, then I was wondering if there's some way of proving that these are the same digits, and so if this was a 1-2 pair, and this is a 1-2 pair, then maybe it's something to do with this having to be even, because both of these would be green. This would be an even green, which means it should almost be in Casino Royale. My favourite Bond film. An even green. That's a dreadful pun, but I'm quite proud of it. That's the sort of pun that's made me unpopular at parties over the years. Oh dear. Even green. Oh dear. Oh dear. I've got totally distracted. Let's... no, I was about to say something that's nonsense. I mean, I can see that a nabner... If this was 1, 3, 5, 7, for example, that one has to be a different nabner. It can't be 1, 3, 5, 7 as well, because then in this column, where would you put 1, 3, 5, and 7? They'd have to squeeze into those 3 cells. And well, actually, there's many reasons that doesn't work. I was going to say, and it's true, you can't put 1, 3, 5, and 7 into 3 different sudoku cells. That is true. So it's broken for that reason. It's also broken, of course, because these wouldn't be consecutive in any sense. Oh, I'm so sorry. I can't. I'm not having any... I'm not having any good ideas here. It's not the even digits. It's not... I'm sure it's not. I'm just going to put 2, 4, 6, 8 into those. Just let me just stare at that for a second. I don't think it's that. It's not. I don't think it's. I didn't understand how it could be the Fistemafell thing. Grid is sort of screaming that though at me now. Have a look at that again. Right, so that what we're saying is those digits are the same as these digits. But okay, hang on. I've spotted one thing. I've spotted two things now. Right, hang on. Let me just think about this for a second. I haven't quite worked out what this means, but I've spotted that yeah, I think there is something going on with this, but I can't quite articulate what it is yet. But I have right. So what I've spotted is that what I first spotted was that I couldn't put ones in the corner because of the thermos. So obviously a thermometer, it's increasing from the bulb end. So if there is ever a 1 on a thermo, it has to go in the bulb. So these two can't be ones, and these two can't be ones because they're meant to be even. Then I spotted you can't put 9s in here either, because 9s as well are restricted on thermometers and 9s are not even. So there's something going on there, because that means that if I ever want to put 1 or 9 on a nabner, well, I must, yeah, okay. I must put 1 or 9 on some nabners. I can't, what I can't do is that. I mean, this is that's totally obvious, but it's true. So there must be some extreme digits. So, sorry, yeah, if you can't put 1 or, let's say, and it's not true, but let's say none of these internal strings had 1 or 9 on them. Then, because of this Fistemofellian equivalence, because we know the purple cells are the same digits as the grey cells, you couldn't put 1 or 9 on the nabners. Now, the only way of filling a 4-cell nabner with non-consecutive digits, if you can't put 1 or 9 on it, is if it's 2, 4, 6, 8. Now, if it's 2, 4, 6, 8, that just doesn't work for the reasons we were looking at. Some digits over here and here. I was saying you couldn't repeat the same sequence, and you clearly can't, because these would have to be 2, 4, 6, and 8 in row 1. These would have to be 2, 4, 6, and 8. So this is wrong. And that means that some of these renbans have to have extreme digits on them. Well, okay, I'm now going to tell you at least 2 of them have to have extreme digits on them. Because right, how many 2, 4, 6, 8 2x2s can we put in the grey squares? And the answer is a maximum of 2, isn't it? Because let's imagine this was a 2, 4, 6, 8 quadruple. Then this can't be, and this can't be. But this could be. Because if this is 2, 4, 6, 8, that has to be 2, 4, 6, 8. And there are 3 digits there, 3 cells for 4 digits. That won't work. So if any of these grey things are 2, 4, 6, 8, then there could be a 2, 4, 6, 8 opposite. That's fine. But there can't be 2, 4, 6, 8s in these two. So there's a maximum of 2 2, 4, 6, 8, 2 2x2s. Which means that at least 2 of these 4 stringy things here have to have an extreme digit on them. And that extreme digit will allow us to put 1s and 9s into some of these nabner, some of these nabner 2x2s. So some or all of these purple lines are extreme purple lines. Oh, right. Okay, I've got it now. Right, sorry, that's taking half an hour. Oh my goodness. Well, that's put me to shame compared to that solver on Logic Masters. Right, but I've got it now. Okay, I still haven't proved that Fistemafel thing. I am aware. I will do that. It won't take me a moment. But I do now need this identity between purple and grey to make the following point. Now the point is this. I've worked out, because I can't have 2, 4, 6, 8 in more than 2 of these grey sequences, I need extreme digits. I need at least 2 extreme digits, but I can't have more than 2 for a beautiful reason, which goes back to the entropic line, look. Because can this be extreme? By extreme, I mean have a 1 or a 9 on the sequence. If this had a 1 on it anywhere, it would be a 1, 2, 3 triple. And then you couldn't have the 3 entropic colours on the line. One of these colours, don't know which one of these has to be selected from 1, 2 and 3. So that doesn't work. It's the same with 7, 8, 9. If we try 7, 8, 9 in here, well, if I could type, it would be the same. Whichever one of these is 7, 8, 9 can't exist. Isn't that beautiful? So what that means is that there is a maximum, because neither of these lines can contain an extreme digit. I could put an extreme digit on here, and I could put an extreme digit on here. That would give me 2 extreme digits for my nabners. And I must have 2 extreme digits on the nabners, because if I didn't, I'd have at least 3 2, 4, 6, 8 grey sequences. Right, so which is not going to work. So what we have to do now is I have to prove that ringy thing, and you can do it very easily. It's fine. So the way to prove that I'm going to highlight the whole of the perimeter in purple. Now, no, I'm not. I'm going to start off by highlighting rows 1 and 2. Now, clearly, row 1 in total in this puzzle, because of the rules of Sudoku, contains the digits 1 to 9 once each. So does row 9. So far, the purple cells I've highlighted constitute 2 sets of the digits 1 to 9. Now, if I was to add on the whole of column 1, so including this cell again, because this was already in row 1, and this cell again, let's make those 2. Oh, green's a bad choice. I'll make them. Oh, red's a bad choice. I'll make them orange. So including those cells twice, because this was already in row 1. And I was also to include column 9 in total. Wow. Therefore, then all of the cells I've highlighted, providing I include the corners twice, are 4 sets of the digits 1 to 9. Now, let's contrast that with I'm going to highlight in a different colour a different 4 sets of the digits 1 to 9. Those, the whole of this box, the whole of this box, the whole of this box, and the whole of this box. So at this point, the grey cells contain 4 sets of the digits 1 to 9, and the purple cells contain 4 sets of the digits 1 to 9. Now, here is the question that is the absolutely crucial thing you have to get your head round. If we were to remove a cell like this from purple and grey, what can we say about the remaining purple and grey cells? And all you have to appreciate is that they are still exactly identical. We can't say they're 4 sets of the digits 1 to 9 because because there are only 35 digits now, and we don't know what digit this is. So we can't say it's sort of 4 sets of the digits 1 to 8 and then 3 9s, for example. That won't work because we don't know whether this is a 9. But we do know that if we take this digit out of both purple and grey, because purple and grey, when this digit was in both purple and grey, they are the same. If I take this out of both sets, what remains, they must be still equivalent. And I can do that for all the cells that are both purple and grey colours. So we can get rid of all of those. Now the corners are a bit more tricky, because remember that these corners are twice in the purple and once in the grey. So if I cancel out the fact that they're twice in purple and once in grey, I can cancel out 1 grey and 1 purple from those and leave them with being once in purple. And then we're left with where we need to be. We've got these 2x2s in grey. The purple squares, there are 16 purple squares, there are 16 grey squares, and they must be equivalent. So, now we have to use this to solve the puzzle. So the trick was understanding that A, there was Fistomephel going on. That's not that difficult, because that was a very early thought. But it was quite hard for me, at least, to see that meant something in the context of extreme digits. And this beautiful sort of rectangle here is absolutely gorgeous in that regard, forcing these not to be able to be extreme sequences. So I know that each one of these is an extreme sequence. Can they be the same extreme sequence? No. No, they can't. Okay, I can do that quickly. Because let's imagine these were both 1, 2, 3 sequences. Where do 1, 2, and 3 now go in box 1 by Sudoku? They go on this line. And unfortunately, 2 is definitely consecutive with 1 and 3. So that cannot work, can it? So actually, I don't know how we're going to pencil mark this, but one of these is... this is interesting. One of these is a 1, 2, 3 sequence, and one of these is a 7, 8, 9 sequence. I don't know the order, but I do now know that that square in the corner is not 1, 2, 3, and it's not 7, 8, 9. So that is 4, 5, or 6. It doesn't have. It's not even or anything, is it? That's not got any grid furniture in it beyond the thermometer. Bobbins. So how do we do this then? Oh, sorry, I'm not seeing it. So one of these is 1, 2, 3. Oh, no. Right, it's not this square at all, is it? Oh, this is beautiful. Goodness me, James, you are a very clever fellow indeed. Right, this is Eva Green. Eva Green is, well, it's not really Eva Green, but it is green. Green is now the key. Because let's say this was 1, 2, 3. If this is 1, 2, 3, we know this is 7, 8, 9. It could be the other way round, but the point is that the green sees both of these. So green can never be 1, 2, 3, and it can never be 7, 8, 9. So green is from the 4, 5, 6 entropic set, which is... Oh, bobbins, what does that do? So that's from green entropy. That's really weird, isn't it? Sorry, I realise I've stopped talking, but I'm just trying to understand what that means, if anything. I'm not doing very well. We don't know. All right. Oh, I see. No, no, no. All right, I'm doing this in a totally bonkers way. Right, but I've seen something else now. Okay. Okay, this is very clever. It's very clever. Now, we worked out that there are two extreme digits in purple. There is a 9 somewhere and there is a 1 somewhere. And that's going to allow us to populate, to have a 1 somewhere in grey and a 9 somewhere in grey. But two of it is impossible for us not to have two 2468 sequences in grey now, because I've got 1 1 and 1 9 to put on these in these gold rings. So what I'm going to have to do is put the 1 and the 9 on different rings in order that I don't have as many. If I put the 1 and the 9 on the same ring, I could do that for sure, but then on the other 3 rings I can't put 1 or 9, so I'm going to have 2 4 6 8 quadruples, and we can't do that on 3 of the rings. So that means the 1 and the 9 are on different rings, and the 2 other rings that don't have 1 and 9 on have to be 2 4 6 8. Now that means they have to be opposite one another, and they can't be in this situation, because if they were in this situation, these corner squares are impossible because they're both even. So actually, what we're now learning is that that's a 2 4 6 8, that's a 2 4 6 8. Now surely that's going to do something. Well, it gives me a 5 in the corner. That's what it does do. That's my first digit. That's taken me 42 minutes to get that. That square is even because it's on an X domino. So if this is even, that must be even. That digit is quite a high digit. That is 7 or 9. Oh, I see it. Right. Okay, now I've got it. Okay, this digit is 7 or 9 because it can't be 6 or 8 and it must be greater than 5. And we know now this can't be 7, 8, 9 because if that's 7, 8, 9, that square couldn't exist. So this is 1, 2, 3. This is 7, 8, 9. This is 7 or 9 now because it's got to be this. The 7 and the 9 are not in those squares and they're not in those squares. So these squares are a 1, 3 pair in the box. The radiator's going crazy. These squares are now 2, 4 and 6 by sudoku. These squares are 4, 6 and 8 by sudoku. And this might mean something. Oh, come on, Simon. Has this done anything? Do I know what goes on these other? I know one of these other rings has 1 on and one has 9 on. Which is in some way probably important. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. I do not know what to do with this. I don't think I know about these other entropies, do I? There's a lot of symmetry in this puzzle. I'm wondering if I do know more about the other nabners than I think I do. I know that one of them's got 1 on it and one of them's got 9 on. I've definitely got 2 2s, 2 4s, 2 6s, 2 8s. Okay, right. So if I have 2 8s in grey, and I do, I've got at least 2 8s in grey. No, okay, no. Right, I now know the contents of these lines. Because I've definitely got 2 2s in grey, and I've definitely got 2 8s in grey. I've only got 1 8 in here. So one of these, we know that we can't put 9 or 1 in these strings because it'll break the entropy. But I must have another 8 in purple. So one of these 6 digits is an 8. And it must not go with 9. So there is an 8 7 6 and a 2 3 4 in these strings. I don't know how to pencil mark that. I've got something different. Okay, I've got something different. That is even. That is definitely even, and I can see that's done something in this row. I've got 4 even digits, so that's not even. That's odd. So that's 5. Oh, I see. I've got the same in that column. That is also even. Yeah, I think maybe I'm not seeing the evens very well because of the colouring I've done. But now I've got 4 evens in this column, so that is also 5. And now that's 5 in the middle of the grid because 5 is not even. And by sudoku, we know that the green is the 4 5 6, so these cannot be from the 4 5 6 entropy. So that's 5 in the middle of the grid. So 5 is in one of those 2 squares by sudoku. 5 is in one of these 2 squares by sudoku. That's not a 5. Which is almost interesting, perhaps. He says, trying to work out why. Oh, sorry. Look, I've got an absolute boatload of even digits in row 8 that I've never seen. Okay, so these are all odd digits. Oh, forgive me. I am just going to good lift those, and so just so I can stare at those for a moment. You can't put 5 in any of these ones. So this is 1 3 7 or 9 on its X thing. You can't put 1 or 9 here. We know that. We worked that out. Because we can't have more than 1 or 9 in purple. So this is 3 or 7. That's not 3 or 7. This is 1 or 9. Oh no, nearly. I thought it was going to give us the red entropy, but actually it doesn't at all. That square, well, it definitely isn't 1, is it? It's on the end of a thermometer. And it's not 3, because if it was 3, the thermometer would go 3, 2, 1, dusty bin. That would be a 2 here, and there's a 2 already here. So this is 5, 7, or 9. Which might be important, whatever that digit is. Yeah, okay, that's good. Oh no, it's not good. I do need to put extreme digits. I need to put 1 extreme digit on here. But I don't know what it is yet. Oh, bobbins, okay. Right, so we're going to have to do something else. Okay, right. In this row, I've got my 4 even digits. So probably what I have to do is just fully ham it up on the pencil marks. This square is not 3 or 7. This is or 5. This is a 1-9 pair, and that's a 3-7 pair. So that's not 9. That's not 7. I'm grasping at straws a bit here. The blue. Okay, the blue entropy can't be the green entropy. So that digit is 2 or 8 only. Okay. And whatever we pick for this, 1, 3, 5, 7 or 9 is really quite fine, isn't it? It doesn't matter too much, I don't think. Oh, all right. But in box 7, where's 2? 2's got to be there. And that's gorgeous. Right, that's important. Because do you remember a few minutes ago, I deduced what was in these sequences. One of them we worked out was 2, 3, 4, and one of them was 8, 7, 6. Well, this one can't be 2, 3, 4 now, because it would clash with this 2. So this one must be 2, 3, 4, and this must be, well, that must be 7. 7, 3, this must be 6 and 8. And just to go over why that's the case, it's the case because we know in grey we've definitely got 2 8s and definitely 2 2s, but no more extreme digits than the 1 and the 9 that must be here and here. So we can't make these, well, for many reasons we can't make these sequences. Given one of them's got 2 on therefore and one of them's got 8, we can't make them 1, 2, 3 again, for example, and mirror this one, because we'd break the entropy here. So hopefully that's clear. So this is 6. This is 6, 8. So that's a 2. Oh, that's great. So now I know that the blue entropy is low. So this is 1, 2, or 3. This is 1, 2, or 3. Well, it's 1 then, because it's not 2, 3, or 4. This digit is that's a naked 4 now. So that's a 6 by the dot. That's not 6. That's the red entropy, which we should be able to work out. The red entropy is high entropy, so that's 8. Red is from 7, 8, 9. So that gives me this digit. So 9, 1. This don't include 5. That's not 5. It's not 1. Oh, so we've just got a 3, 7, 9 triple here. 2, 3, 4 here. That gives me a 6 in the corner, I think. Okay, so 6 is in one of these 2 squares by sudoku. That can't be a 7 by sudoku using this 7. This can't be a 1 by sudoku. That can't be a 1 by sudoku. This is not a 3 or a 9. That is not a 9. That's going to do something on the thermometer. We'll come and have a look at that in a moment. That's not 4. That's not 4 or 6. Oh, this is an 8, apparently, just by sudoku. So this is a 4, 8 pair. This is a 6. So that's a 4 in the corner. Do I know how this works? Probably do, but can't work it out. Oh dear. Okay, let's try and understand how this line works. So these are odd numbers, aren't they? They're odd numbers lower than. So this has to be 3 or 5 because it's got to be. All the even numbers have gone. So we're looking for an odd number here that's lower than the maximum of this. That can't be 1. So that's 3 or 5. That's 1 or 3. Oh, it's the right. That's it. So that's 3. That's 5. That's 7. This square is 9. That's 1. 1 is in one of the... Oh, in fact, these 2 squares are a 1, 8 pair, apparently. This row needs a 9 in it. So there's a 2, 9 pair at the start of this row, which means these are not 9. This is 3, 7. This is 1, 5. We can probably do better than that, but I can't see how. Oh dear, 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 dear. Well, that was nearly very exciting. And now I've got stuck again. Bother. Okay. I could pencil mark those squares. There's 6, 7, and 9, I think. But I don't... Well, that's not 6. Can I do any better than that? Ah, 2 and 4 at the top of the grid are fixed, which does 4 and 8. This column, what does it need? 3s, 7s, and 9s, I want to say. Oh, it's close. Oh, no, I don't know what to do. 4 here gives me that digit. That's a 6 now. That gives me a 6 and an 8 at the bottom of the grid. So 8's getting a bit restricted in this middle box, but I don't think it's restricted enough. 2, 3. I know, okay. What's the total composition of this nabner? It is 3, 5, 7, 9, isn't it? So these are from 5, 7, and 9. Don't think I can do that. It must be something to do with the middle box somehow, I feel. But what? Right, here is a moderately interesting point. If this is 4, where is 4 in this box? And the answer is there. And if this is 6, where is 6 in this box? And the answer is there. And that means this square is 4 or 6, and therefore it is green entropy. Right, and that means it's lovely actually, that neither of these can be a 5, because this is an entropic line, and we've just had the middle entropy digit. That pushes 5 into these squares, look. So that's 5, and that's 1, and that's 1, and that's 3. Come on, that's 3, and that's 7. 7 is in one of those squares. Five has to make an appearance on that entropic line, so that's there. Or that nabner line. How many 5s do I got? All of them, apparently. All of the 5s are suddenly filled in. Which that feels like that might be important. 2, 3, and 4. This square is a naked single. It's a 1. And the way I've got that is noting that I've got a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 quintuple in box 2. So this square is from 1, 2, 3, and 4. Well, it can't be 2 or 3, and it can't be 4 because it would repeat the entropy of 4. So that's got to be a 1. That's a 1. That's an 8. So 1 is in one of those cells. This, therefore, must be high entropy and is 7 or 9. I would love to know which. I don't think I do. I might be wrong. That can't be 1. There's a 1 here. I've got an 8, 9 pair in this column, which means that this must be 4 or... Oh, that's a 4 or 6, which is strange. So there's a 4, 6 pair here now. So that's not 4, that's not 6, so 6 goes up here. which means that is 4, which means that is 6, that is 4. 4 comes out of these squares. Now, has that done it? Maybe. 2, 6. I don't know. I feel like I must know this digit as well, but somehow I don't. All right, these squares are 2, 3, and 4. And that is most certainly not 4. So has that done something? There's a 2, 3, 4 triple in the middle column, so that square is 7 or 8. Yeah, maybe we just have to be slow and methodical here and just try and find our way through the myriad sudoku. Right, this is now 1, because there's a 2, 3 pair in this row, which means that is a 1. That's not a 1. There's a hang on. There's a 2, 3 pair in this row that I hadn't seen. So now, this square is 7, 8, or 9, is 8 or 9. Which is probably interesting. There's a 6 in one. No, still don't know. There's a 6 in one of those. 7. This square is a 7 or a 9. That's a little interesting because that gives me a 7, 8, 9 triple here, which means this square is 2 or 3. There's a 2, 3 pair here, so this is 4. Sorry, that I could have got that a different way. I just didn't see it. How many 4s have we got? I feel like I've done quite well on 4s. I have, but I haven't done well enough. Okay. So, right, so I must have not done some Sudoku somehow, or is it I've not used a thermo or something? Probably. Or that 6 is looking at that square, so that's quite an important thing to notice. That's going to give me a 2 here and a 9 here, which gives me a 7 here, which gives me a 9 here, 8 there, 7 there, 9, 7, 8 all go into the grid. Okay, that felt like a win for the good guys. 7 and 9, 7 here. This is 3, 9. 7 over here. So that's 9, that's 9, that's 3. That's 3, 2, 4. That's 3, 2. That's 3, that's 2. That's 2, that's 3, that's 8. So that's 8, that's 4, and that's 6, and that's 6, and that's 9. And with a little flurry at the end. Yes. Oh, I love that. That was sensationally good. That was sensationally good for so many reasons, James. Not really. Well, quadrilaterals I would have understood more. But what I loved about that is the appearance of Eva Green, that well-known Bond girl. The absolute magic of the deductions involving the Fistemfeld ring and Sudoku. And yeah, the fact that you could count the extreme digits because there must be one of each entropy on that thing. That's beautiful. It's a beautiful puzzle. I mean, well done to anyone getting that done in 17 minutes. That's very impressive. You'd literally have to have exactly the right idea and definitely not be talking through your thoughts. What a puzzle. Let me know in the comments how you got on. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.